Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is a 1969 Jaguar E-Type, and today I'm going to show you guys around it. You know, I've always wanted to own a Jaguar just for the sole fact that hopefully someday I'd also be able to hire a butler named Reginald so he'd come in the room and be like, "Which vehicle shall I procure for your date with the missus tonight, sir?" "Good question, Reginald. I think we'll take the Jag out tonight." "Very good choice, sir. I'll fetch it immediately." I have no idea why I was also British in that scenario. Starting up at the front here, the E-Type was manufactured from 1961 to 1975 with 4 official versions. There was 2 Series 1, both of them had different engines. This, which is a Series 2, and then there was also a Series 3. Believe it or not, this absolutely gorgeous, beautiful coupe is kind of one of the more less desirable ones because the Series 2 changed some stuff on it, mainly the headlights. The original Series 1s actually had the swooping glass down here in the headlights. This just has the open design, and then the grille styling was a little bit different as well. You didn't have this bar in the center. Now, I still think that this car looks gorgeous. One very unique and interesting thing on this E-Type is to maintain this giant flowing bonnet shape. Over in Britain, they call it a bonnet, not a hood. What they did is the actual grille is recessed really far in there, and the body paneling of the car comes out. So you probably have about 1.5 feet in there where you have the bar and then it just recesses in there. That's very unique. Now, before we move underneath the bonnet, I actually want to show you guys how to open it up. It is the first of many things you'll see on this car that is very uniquely British. So the first step in opening the hood, not too dissimilar to every other car, is there's going to be a latch in the driver's footwell right here, but you pull it up and then pull it out. Now, there's also one in the passenger's footwell over there as well. So you have to go over to the passenger side as well to open this up. So then once those 2 latches are spun and pulled out, you actually open up the hood from the back here and you push in on this latch. It's very hot. You push in and then that actually lifts the entire front of the boot up. So you have the engine right here in the middle and then your tires exposed. It's really cool. This whole giant piece pops up here. Then you can bask in the glory of this 4.2 liter inline double overhead camshaft 6-cylinder that makes 246 brake horsepower and 263 pound-foot of torque. Now, as I mentioned in my Oldsmobile 442 video, they measured the brake horsepower basically right behind the engine, not from the rear wheels. So as Jed, the owner, was telling me, it's kind of a joke in the community that this car could actually achieve 246 horsepower because they were measuring it in a way without all the other components inside of it. Another thing underneath the bonnet here is this Duplex manifold emissions control system. This was another thing installed specifically to meet US safety regulations. An interesting touch. This was one of the first Jaguars to have factory air conditioning. Moving along to the profile of the E-Type, another thing that the Series 2 changed to meet US safety regulations was it added these giant turn signal indicator marker lights on the side and then on the front here. That definitely does not flow with the rest of the wonderful design of this car. Another thing is here, this isn't actually called the fender, this is considered the wing in British terminology. That's another fun fact for you. I cannot talk about the profile without talking about these insane wheels. They're like a lot of spokes. I'm not going to count them, but they're a lot. They are really cool. One interesting, unique touch is this is actually not the original lug nut cap for this type of car. The owner's father, who originally had it, actually put these on because he preferred the design of these to the factory ones. I still think they look really good, and the little wings that come off of them flow really well. Moving down here, you have your mirror right here, and something I have to talk about. When I came to review this car originally, the first thing I noticed that was kind of very strange in this car is the door handles are more like door latches. Like like you can't get your fingers behind this door handle. Like you hit the door to open it here, and you basically can just get the tips of your fingers around the top here to open it. It's a very strange design. I don't know if it is, again, to help kind of the flow of the car. Now, this E-Type is obviously a convertible. There was 3 different versions you could get. You could get a Roadster, a Coupe, or a 2x2 Coupe, which basically just means it had back seats in it and kind of this very abrupt, bulbous ending roof line. I don't really love how those ones look, but that was an option you could get on these cars. But now I'm going to show you how to put the top up, and boy, have we come a long way in convertible technology. This is not an easy process. The first thing you have to do is unlatch this black leather cover right here, which is in itself pretty difficult. Then you take that off, and then you're gonna pull it up. It's really a two-man job, as you can see here. You pop it to the top, you have to move your sun visors down, and then there's 3 latches that you have to latch in place at the top of the windshield, and then it is finally done. Definitely not an easy process to do, especially if you're on the highway and it's raining. It definitely takes a couple minutes, and more than likely will require 2 people. Moving on to the boot of the E-Type, that is what us plebeian Americans call the trunk. You'll have your E-Type badge, Jaguar, and your 4.2 badge, as well as your fuel cap. You have this big chrome bumper back here, and then more of these UGO US safety regulation taillights and marker lights on the side. Originally, the first generation had these really beautiful lights back here, a little bit higher, but to meet US safety regulations, they had to move them, make them a little bit more larger on the back. On the back here, you do get quad exhaust, which is really cool. Let's hear an exhaust note. Now this is an aftermarket exhaust system on this particular E-Type. The current owner's father originally put it on because he thought it sounded better. Much more Italian sounding when compared to the very reserved British standard stock exhaust system. Now moving into the interior of the E-Type, when you first get in here, it is very intimidating. There's quite a lot of buttons, quite a lot of gauges, but all of them are pretty useful. They're very well laid out. They basically say what they do. You have your battery gauge, your oil gauge, your water pressure gauge, your fuel gauge, and your speedometer in here, your tachometer. It's not overtly complicated. One thing I really do like is the air conditioning vent system in this car. It's kind of a flowing line that continues through the center of the dash over to the passenger side with 5 different separate little vents that you can move and stuff. That's kind of a cool, very unique design. Moving below that, you have your factory radio still installed here, and then you do have a cigarette outlet back when you actually used it for a cigarette and not just your USB charger. It's a 4-speed manual transmission. You have your parking brake right here, and then you do have a little ashtray. As I just said, you actually used your cigarette outlet for cigarettes and not just to charge your phone. In here though, it's pretty standard. The seats are okay comfy. It's very, very tiny in here. The rear view mirror is really tiny. It's barely bigger than my full hand. It's very interesting, very tiny. And you know, but it's a tiny car. You ready for this? Manual sliding windows, baby. Yeah, and they are tough. Really, you want to work out, get a car with manual sliding windows. I'm pretty sure Jeeps still do that. Another really interesting thing with this E-Type is brand new in 1969. These cars MSRP'd with a base price of $5,534. $5,000 for a Jaguar. Now, obviously, with USD inflation, we did the math. It's a little under $39,000 in the year 2020, but that's still not terrible for a beautiful convertible roadster like this from Jaguar. This was half the price of the Ferraris of the day. Enzo Ferrari infamously called the E-Type the most beautiful car in the world. So let's take the most beautiful car in the world for a spin. All right, so Jed is holding the camera for me because I forgot my little suction cup window mount. So everybody say hi to Jed from behind the camera. So we're driving, there's Jed. So we're driving the E-Type, and we were talking off camera. I drove it a little bit before we got on camera here, and it is it's very nice. It's a very simple car to drive, and it's not particularly crazy fast. No power steering, very interesting. So you really feel the wheel. It definitely you feel connected with this. It's a car that you definitely feel like at one with when you're driving. Now I want to turn it over to Jed literally to have him kind of explain the heritage of this car and his family and kind of why he's kept it around so long. And you can turn it towards your face. They don't need to be on me the whole time if you want to explain that.
So This particular car, if you caught the Olds 442 video that Isaac has done previously, you'll hear in there that I mentioned my father traded that Olds 442 for a Jaguar E-Type, and that's this car. January 1976, my father traded his Olds 442 for this E-Type on a used car lot right here in our hometown, and he never sold the car. Over the years, he painted it a couple times. Last time was in the 1990s. But other than that, we have driven this car. This is the first sports car I ever drove. I didn't learn to shift gears on it, but I certainly was learning to perfect my skills on this car. And I have driven it literally my whole adult life. So, and of course, after my father passed away, I decided this was a car that had to stay in the family. So here it is.
Yeah. Wow. And it's fun. It's really fun to drive. It's a nifty little guy to race around on the track here. And it's cool. It's very unique. There's a lot of, as I said earlier in the video, a lot of very uniquely British things to the car, with kind of how you pop the bonnet, how you pop the boot, how you put the sunroof up. That seems needlessly complicated to me, or not the sunroof, the top for the convertible top. It seems needlessly complicated, but like what I love about this car is it's crafted with purpose. Like everything's very purposeful on this car. Very driver centric. Very, very much with the purpose of
driver enjoyment.
Driver enjoyment. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I think makes it so fun. It's so much fun to open up and drive. You know, you can see how much I'm grinning because it's very smooth. As I was telling Jed, this handles better than the 442 he has. Not to say that all 442s handle that way, but it's much smoother, and I feel more at one with the car. I really feel in control of it, and that's what I really like. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you could like and subscribe, that would really help my channel a ton. If you're new here, I'm a Christian and I love taking your guys' prayer requests. If you have any, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And I do a daily Bible verse, though I forgot to look up one specifically for this video, so I'm just going to do one off the top of my head that I have memorized, not exactly pertaining in any way to this car or my review of it. 1 Corinthians 10:13 says, "No temptation has overcome you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you can bear. And when you are tempted, He will always provide a way out so that you can endure it." Thank you so much, guys, again for watching. See you next time.